June 29th, 2024, International Fight Week, the biggest return in UFC history. Conor McGregor was supposed to walk out of this arena. 3 years since the leg break, Michael Chandler across the cage, millions in bets already placed. He never showed up. But that's not the story. The story is what a journalist named Josh JC on air said the week before, a claim that got his UFC credentials revoked in 24 hours. "I've got nothing to lose," he posted. Here's the truth. The truth implicates Dana White, the UFC, and potentially the biggest betting scandal in MMA history. Let me show you why this still matters.
June 3rd, 2024, the UFC makes it official. McGregor versus Chandler, UFC 303, the comeback. The promotion machine goes into overdrive. McGregor teases a world tour. He and Dana White plan a spectacular announcement. The mystique is back, but here's the context that matters. McGregor had openly said he only had 2 fights left on his UFC deal. Contract negotiations were underway. The stakes for everyone involved, astronomical.
June 13th, the Dublin press conference is canceled. Then the announcement, Conor McGregor is out. A toe injury, a broken pinky toe, a broken toe. For a fighter who had never pulled out of a professional fight, who beat Max Holloway on a compromised knee, suddenly a toe was too much? Something didn't add up. Josh on air, JC on X, held UFC credentials. That means access, insider relationships, the kind of status journalists protect at all costs. Then he laid out his claim. Conor and his team, JC claimed, informed Dana White earlier in the week about a knee injury, not a toe, a knee. And the response? The show must go on. No refunds. The financial consequences were too massive. Let me read that again. The claim, Dana White knew McGregor was injured and pressured him to fight because of the money, the pay-per-view, the live gate, the International Fight Week economy.
And then it gets worse. JC's claim continued. People on the inside became aware that McGregor was compromised. And that's why the betting line moved, significantly. Here's what you need to understand about Conor McGregor and betting markets. When McGregor fights, the public piles on. He's the biggest star in MMA history. Casual fans bet on him by default. His odds are always inflated by public money. In excess of 80% of all money legally wagered was on Conor McGregor to win. The public put millions on Conor. The odds moved likely toward Chandler as insiders got wind. But the public never knew. JC's claim, this allowed the UFC sportsbook partners to win tens of millions. If this is true, it's not just a scandal, it's potential fraud. So what did Dana White actually say? Conor's going to be 36 in July. He's got plenty of money. I don't ever think that guys like that, John Jones, who knows, maybe he'll fight again, maybe he won't. Conor McGregor, maybe he'll fight again, maybe he won't. Let that sink in. Your CEO 2 weeks from the biggest fight of the year publicly says, maybe he never fights again. Now look at the timeline, because this is where it gets strange. McGregor posted photos of the injury, a badly broken toe, swollen, gruesome. But here's the detail that matters. He only posted them after rumors started circulating. Chael Sonnen, the professional provocateur, went on air and claimed the real reason McGregor pulled out was rehab. Alcohol and substances. McGregor's team immediately denied it. Karen Kessler told TMZ the fight was canceled after an injury he sustained during training. But here's the thing about the Sonnen claim. It created a very convenient smokescreen. Suddenly, the conversation shifted. Nobody was asking about Dana knowing. Nobody was asking about the betting line. Everyone was talking about rehab. Listen to the language from a sports medicine expert. He's a star. He's at a stage where his next fight is extremely important. Translation, stars get different treatment. Dana White has called Conor a solid business partner, said there's literally no ugly in their relationship, except that Conor doesn't show up on time. But here's the tension White himself created, a UFC CEO publicly doubting his biggest star. That's not normal, that's a tell. Here's what it all points to. The UFC knew. They knew Conor was fragile. They knew the return might never happen. But they promoted it anyway. They let the betting market move. They let the public put millions on a compromised fighter, or worse, on a fight that was never real.
It's 2026. Dana White says he's extremely confident Conor will fight this summer. The same words he used in 2024. But the question isn't whether Conor fights again. The question is what Dana White knew in June 2024. Whether the UFC's partners profited from information the public never had, and whether the organization would prioritize money,
tens of millions over the health of its fighters. JC lost his credentials, but he said he had nothing to lose. Maybe the better question is, what does the UFC have to lose by telling the truth? If you made it to the end, thanks for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you like this deep dive and want more, hit that subscribe button with a teep kick up the middle, and I'll see you in the next video.